I think it's time to start. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from different time zones. I think I'm audible to all of you, and it's a great pleasure to welcome all of you for the today's webinar on role-based AI chatbot by Haoyong Lan on behalf of the IFLA AI Special Interest Group. So my name is Geethani and I will be your host for your today's session. And now is the time to introduce our distinguished speaker. It's Haoyong Lan. Haoyong Lan serves as an engineering faculty librarian at Carnegie Mellon University, where he specialized in AI literacy education and systematic review methodology for engineering researchers. He serves as co-chair of CMU Libraries, AI Literacy Task Force, and is a member of the AI Fluent Workforce Task Force, leading efforts to developing comprehensive AI literacy frameworks and resources for the CMU community. His work bridges engineering education, information science, and emerging technology integration to enhance research capacity across engineering disciplines. Haoyong's scholarly works examine how to effectively integrate AI literacy into engineering research education. His teaching includes cohort-based courses on systematic review methodology and generative AI applications in research. He received a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree in library and information sciences, both from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. So today he will be sharing expertise on AI chatbot with us. So without wasting any much time, I cordially invite Haoyong to start the session. Over to you, Haoyong.
Great. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. And today I'm going to talk about the CMU Libraries journey from the rule-based to the agentic AI chatbot services. And my name is Haoyong Lan. I'm the engineering librarian from Carnegie Mellon University. All right, so it goes back to why we started all of this, from the rule-based to the AI-based. So essentially, after the pandemic, there's a need to meet the students in the post-pandemic world. And the students usually experience the library anxiety after the pandemic isolation around the 2020 or 2022. And there's always also high demand for the after-hours assistance. And usually the traditional library chat service only staffed during the business hours. So there are sometimes the limited staff resources for the 24 hours, 7 days coverage after the business hours. And in addition to that, and there are a lot of library web pages and also the library research guides that the users need to navigate around. So they also need the expertise around how to navigate these resources. And in addition to that, there's also growing demand for the librarian, from the librarian side, to basically focus more on the strategic priorities for some high impact services. All right, so that's the challenge. And looking at that, the challenge, and then the task force from our libraries, we started to do some chat transcript analysis to understand the problem behind this. So what it happened is that what we found that is there were higher demand during the unstaffed hours, for example, in the weekends, and also after business hours, for example, from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. weekdays. And by performing that chat transcript data analysis, we found some of the most common questions centered around library hours and directions, the resource availability, the service information, and also some questions that can be easily answered by for example, the library websites and guides. So the key insights we got from this chat transcript analysis is that we just simply cannot justify staffing the chat service 24/7 for just some simple routine inquiries. All right, and then we started to experiment around the phase one, which is the rule-based chatbot. So the rule-based chatbot simply means it follows the rigid chat flow where users are given a menu of options, which I will actually show in a screenshot later. So we start with the SpringShare platform because it already has we are already using the live chat from the SpringShare platform for the live chat services. And the SpringShare platform also has the chatbot functionality enabled as well in its own platform. So there's no learning curve for the new platform for the library staff. And there's no new trainings needed. And also it can easily integrate with some existing resources we have through the SpringShare platform, such as the LibGuides and other associated products. And as I mentioned previously, we have a library chatbot task force composition, which is composed of the academic librarians who are responsible for the reference flows of the chatbot, and then the access services staff who are responsible for the access flows. And also we have some software developers as well who are doing some technical implementation and also some software programming. All right, so let's take a closer look at the rule-based chatbot flow. So how it worked. So as you can see on the right-hand side, so this is how this chatbot flow looks like. So it starts with a welcome message. It says that, hi, all of our librarians are available, so I will be your chatbot concierge. Do you need help with anything? And the users will then be given the 2 button labels. Yes, I need help, or no, I don't need help, right? And if the user clicked, yes, I need help, it will then move on to the next block of the options. All right, so then you can see the what do you need block. All right, and you can see in the options. So these are some of for each option from this what do you need block, it has the hyperlink to the relevant resources. For example, for the finding and accessing articles or books, it will link to our library webpage that introduces users how to, search through the library catalogs. And also the interlibrary loan will also redirect the users to the relevant interlibrary loan webpage. And so you can see this contains some of the highly used or highly asked questions. For example, the library hours, the library account issues, the course reserves. All right. And after user have clicked these options, as I just mentioned, they will be given with the preset responses with the links to that specific resources. All right, so this is how the entire chatbot flow works. All right, and so that's about the rule-based chatbot flow. So you can see on this chat, it is this like a screenshot. It is very rigid, and also it follows the very rigid rules, and users don't have that option to use the natural language to interact, right? Because they were just given with the menu of options, and then they move on and were given the links. So they can actually interact with the chatbot, because that's just the limits of these rule-based chatbots. And then we are thinking, after we have trialed this rule-based chatbot for about a year, and then that time came when the the ChatGPT and all the generative AI different applications emerged, right? And then we started to think we need to evolve, right? And then we look at the chatbot transcript, all right? And then we found that there were over 50% of incomplete chat sessions, which means that users disconnected actually before they were given any they were interacting with the chatbot, which means that over half of the users were not actually satisfied or were not finding this chatbot, rule-based chatbot helpful, because it just simply has the rigid conversation flows and doesn't have any natural language interactions, and users were forced to select from limited options. And also it required extensive manual rule building, as you can see on the last slide. So these all options were built by the chatbot task force, and it was very time consuming. And the chatbot could not adapt to some unexpected questions, right? Because it just does not have that natural language interactions. Users were only allowed to select from the preset, the given set of the options. All right. So in general, overly speaking, like it has poor user satisfaction, despite it saves some time for the users. All right. And now then the chatbot task force identify the gap is that the chat GPT-like interaction, right? It raised the user expectations for the conversational AI, and which moves us to the phase 2, the agent-based AI chatbot. All right, and then we decided to move to the Google Vertex AI agent builder. All right, so some of the key advantages of using the AI agent builder is that it has the natural language processing, and also it just basically functions like an AI assistant that people are using today, right? Like the ChatGPT, the Gemini, the Claude, and also it has some specialized agents so that the agents can actually use those resources, like for example, like the websites, to back up their claim and to improve their response accuracies. And in addition to that, it also has the customizable step-by-step instructions. And if needed, it can also defer to the other agents or librarians as needed. And it is also scalable and maintainable, which means that it can be improved over time by, for example, adding more data resources, for example, the websites and also other different APIs to this chatbot so that it can actually continuously improve its own knowledge base and in order to provide the most accurate and relevant information to the users. All right, so next, let's look at this the detailed agent architecture. So essentially, it is the building blocks of our AI-based chatbot system. All right, as you can see on the right-hand side, the chatbot is mainly comprised with the agents and tools. All right. So for each agent, it contains the 5 essential elements, but some elements are not required. But I think the most important parts are the first 3. The agent name, which defines the role for the large language models, and the goals. It basically provides an overview of tasks to handle, and then instructions, which basically contain the ordered step-by-step process that you would like the chatbot to perform. So it's basically pretty much like the prompt engineering, right? You're basically prompting the chatbot to perform the task for you. And in this case, you're prompting the agent to provide the essential library reference and also the services for the users. And for the examples, it's basically they serve as a few short prompt examples to basically that the chatbot can utilize these examples to basically to get training data from these examples so that when the users ask similar questions, the chatbot can utilize these prompt examples to follow the similar, the answering patterns to make sure that it aligns with our expectations. And finally, the parameters. So this basically can pass through the conversation, and it stores the conversation information and the conversation data from the users. For example, if users is asking about a certain, ask the chatbot to search for certain resources and provide a keyword, and that keyword basically is stored as a parameters so that the chatbot can utilize these parameters to search through the library catalog and return the search results for the users. And next, the tools. So tools basically serve as the retrieval augmented generation, and it's also called RAG. So it basically connects to the external databases and websites. And the agents can utilize these tools to provide additional information and most accurate information from the library websites, and also other relevant data sources, right? And by utilizing these tools, the agents can greatly enhance the response accuracy and efficiency. All right, so this is the overall agent architecture of the agent-based chatbot. And next, let's dive deeper into basically to walk you through a specific example of the agent building blocks. For example, in our case, so we've built with the agent name that is called the main library AI agent. All right, so this is the main AI agent that basically handles all of the incoming inquiries from the users. All right, so it serves as the hub for the information, for the basically to receive information and process that information. All right, and as I mentioned in the previous slide, the goals. So goals may basically give the chatbot basically a description of what they should do and what is the purpose of this agent, right? And in this case, you are a virtual assistant for the Carnegie Mellon University Libraries, and your role is to assist users in locating and accessing library resources, provide information about library services and policies, and answer research-related inquiries. And we can also make it more, customized by adding additional instructions. Like it's basically like pretty much like a prompt engineer, right? You want to make sure that your chatbot responds in a manner that is most, relevant, and also can provide the most optimal responses and outputs. So I added another sentence is to always respond in a friendly, professional, and concise manner, ensuring that the information is accurate and aligns with the CMU Libraries offerings. So by giving these goals, the chatbot can understand what are their role, right? So that they can use these goals as their basically the baseline, right? As their like basic purposes, right? To provide the most relevant responses for the users. And next, the instructions. So I think this is also a very important part because this essentially outlines the step-by-step process of how the chatbot should respond to the users, right? In a like ordered and also the professional manners. So as you can see here, so this basically follows that flows, right? Like it starts by greeting the customer with mentioning that you are Scott AI. The Scott AI is basically the name of our CMU Libraries AI reference chatbot. And then the second line. So this is the basically like instructing the chatbot to start the analyzing the customer request and the response. And the third line is to further instruct the chatbot to carefully analyze the customer's request to determine their primary need and prioritize addressing the customer's most urgent need first. All right, so this is basically like instructing the chatbot to analyze the customer responses and also the users input in details, and then try to basically classify the users requests into the different categories. And then the next part plays in the tool using part. All right, so that's when the tool deployment can be very useful in this case, because after the chatbot has classified the customer's request, and then it can start deploying the different tools based on the customer's request to retrieve the information and return information for them. All right, and next is to use the tool, the CMU libraries or websites, which I will explain later in details about how this tool is used, to find any general or detailed information that is related to the CMU libraries. All right, so in this case, the agent uses this tool to basically to find the information that are like from the CMU libraries and try to provide the condensed information back to the users. And the next is the tool database API. All right, so this is another method that tool can be used. that I will also introduce later, to find available academic databases, datasets, and the research support tools available via the CMU libraries. All right, here the agent, if the user, for example, asked the questions about whether a certain database is or any other different kinds of like research support tools is available through CMU libraries, and then the users, the chatbot, will start actually use this tool to basically to use that API methods, all right, to search through that CMU, for example, the databases list, and if that tool actually can be returned, the search result, and then the agent can respond to the user saying that we have that tool available, right? And then it can also provide the link, the URL link to that specific tool as well. All right, so this is how the entire chatbot flow works. All right, and next, let's talk about the specific tool. All right, so as I mentioned in the last slide, the first tool we used is the CMU Libraries all websites, and its data type is the data store. So what data store means is that it basically serves as the backend database where the developers can basically to link the data store to different types of the data, right? For example, the library web pages, and also some more like static pages, and like PDF documents, and any kinds of data, you know. So these kinds of data store tools can be used by a generative agent for answers to the end user's questions from the data stores, as I mentioned, such as the websites. And about the description. So this description basically provides a context for the tool so that the agents, when it finished classifying the user's request, and then it can reroute and use this tool to help answer the user's request. All right, so this is basically the purpose of the description, to basically provide context for the agents to use. And this tool contains the Carnegie Mellon University Libraries websites, which provide the detailed information about everything related to CMU libraries. So essentially, this tool connects to the CMU Libraries web domain. All right. So what it means is that it connects to not just one single library web page. Instead, it connects to all of the library web pages that are contained in the domain of the library.cmu.edu. So that is very convenient and also comprehensive, so that the agent can actually use all different kinds of information from the CMU library websites domains instead of the single static web pages. So that's a big improvement for the agent. All right. So the next one, the database API tool, the second one. So this is another major type of the tool that we can use. So it's called the Open API. So as the name implies, right, the Open API type of tool connects to an external API using the Open API tool. All right, so it's basically like serves a tool that can utilizes the library APIs, applications API to basically to connect to that search system to search through its search system and return the results for the users. All right, and the detailed description of this is that it contains a listing of the CMU library subscribed databases, datasets, and research support tools. All right, so this is another major type of the tool. So the first one, as I mentioned, is the data store, which contains the links, right, to the different web pages or other different kind of data sources. And whereas for the Open API, it actually utilizes the APIs to search through the systems in real time, for example, through the library catalog as well, to search for the most relevant library resources and return that search results to the users. All right, so this basically streamlined the entire process of the chatbot process. All right, so I just talked about how we moved from the rule-based chatbot to the agent-based AI chatbot, and how what comprises of the agent architecture. And now let's talk about our current status and the next steps. So currently, our AI chatbot has been deployed to the CMU Libraries website since July 2025. And we actually also completely sunset our traditional library, the on-chat services, to basically free up the librarian's time, as I mentioned previously, so that they can focus on more high impact services and strategic priorities. And in addition to that, each chatbot, each chat turn has that real-time feedback function enabled for each conversation turn. And the agent is also connected with the CMU Libraries website domain, as I mentioned, using that tool to get up-to-date library information and reduce the chatbot hallucination. And in addition to that, the agent is also connected with the CMU Libraries catalog to return the library resource search results for the users, as I mentioned in the previous, using the API method. All right. And on the back end, we also built the chatbot chat transcript data visualization dashboard so that we can actually analyze the previous, the transcripts of the chat, so that we can perform some data analysis to figure out and also come up with the plans for the future improvements. And which brings us to the future plans, which is also ongoing and will be also continuous in the future. And we want to improve the chatbot functionality and the response accuracy through the feedback data analysis, from either analyzing the individual chat data and also the responses, the feedback form that is provided whenever the users click the negative response for that feedback function. All right, so that is our current status and the next steps. So next, let's talk about the benefits and impact we are having so far by enabling this AI-based, agent-based chatbot. So for students and faculty and staff, they are getting 24/7 seamless access to the systems, right? Because this AI chatbot can be live throughout the duration, right, of the 24 hours and 7 days, so that users can get uninterrupted assistance from the library. And it also enables the natural language interactions that the users expected, right? From some general purpose AI tools such as the Gemini, the Claude, and also the users can get immediate answers to common questions, right? Instead of waiting until the library is open, so they can get the feedback and also the responses from the library anytime, anywhere, right? Without any need to visit in person or actually to wait until the traditional the traditional on-chat service opens, right? And in addition to that, the users can also get seamless navigation of the library resources, such as if they have specific question about, for example, the library guides, right? Like if they are asking if we have that specific, for example, the electrical engineering LibGuide, and the chatbot can actually provide that we have that LibGuide along with the actual URL link to that library guide. So this is a very huge improvement, and also reduces a lot of time latency, right? Like the lag we traditionally have, because if we were having some traditional on-chat services, the library chat operators usually need to actually to go to that library guide page, right? And then search for that page. So that usually takes a few minutes. And now that time has been reduced to a few seconds. So that's a huge improvement to the effectiveness of the library reference services. And for the library staff, it also reduced the burden of answering some routine questions, right? For example, like when is the library open today, and what resources we have, right? So this can be easily answered by the AI chatbot. And by freeing up the library staff time, it gives more time, right, back for the library staff to conduct some complex consultations that the AI chatbot can't, handle, right? And so that they can focus on the high impact services to make the library services even more, robust. And so I think this is a huge improvement for both students, faculty, staff, and also for the library staff themselves. So finally, some key takeaways and lessons learned. Start simple and then scale. All right, so we started with the rule-based, right? And then the rule-based scenario taught us that it didn't work, right? So that we can utilize the lessons learned from building that rule-based chatbot to improve on how we build the AI-based chatbot. And then listen to the user behavior by performing some data analysis around the transcripts, right? And over 50% of incomplete sessions signal that problems that there's something wrong, right? We need to improve it. And also to embrace the modern expectations. So users expect the ChatGPT-like interactions, right? Now that the general purpose AI tools are everywhere, users were just expecting that natural language interactions instead of like rigid flow of the tools, right? Of the chatbot, right? That doesn't provide that natural language interaction capabilities. And then finally, design for the flexibility. Agent-based systems adapt much more better than rigid rules, right? Because it can continuously improve itself by, for example, by ingesting more data and also to learn from the previous conversations to continuously improve its response accuracy. All right, so these are some key takeaways from this the chatbot building journey. So in conclusion, the future of the library reference services. All right, so let's talk about that. The future of the library is that the AI-powered chatbots are not replacing librarians, and instead, they are augmenting our ability to serve the users in a more effective and robust manner. And also, these AI-based chatbots can handle the routine questions much more efficiently because they can just utilize the information from the CMU libraries, the libraries directly to provide the most accurate information in much more shorter time. And as I mentioned previously, it also frees the librarians much more time, right? They traditionally need to staff the hours, right? So that they can focus on higher value work. And finally, the AI-based chatbot model provides the point of need assistance at scale, right? And the goal, right, of this chatbot is to provide a better service and the use of expertise for the librarians. So yeah, so thank you so much for attending today's webinar. So I hope this can provide some context and guidance around how to, as you start thinking about transforming your own libraries, chatbot journey and also the services. Yeah, so yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Haoyong, for great explanations and sharing expertise regarding the AI chatbot. And for the audience, if you have any questions regarding this webinar, you can post it in the chat. The chat is open. Yes, now is the time for the Q&A.
I see there's one question from Mary D. She's asking, are there any privacy or security concerns with the chatbot agents?
Yes, great question. So definitely, I think the privacy is the core of during the entire process of our chatbot development. So I think the security that functionality is actually indirectly embedded in this chatbot development process because each conversation turn does not, or any conversation history does not restore any user's personal information or any kinds of sensitive information. So I think the chatbot itself has that privacy preserving functionality embedded, and we are also very basically instructing the chatbot to not basically ask for any personally sensitive information. So I think this is our security guardrails. Yeah. So I see another question from Henny. So great question. So yeah, the type of machine learning. So essentially, we are actually using that, as I mentioned, the Google Vertex AI agent builder platform. So you actually don't need to write any kind of machine learning algorithm yourself, and instead you can actually utilize some, for example, the open source models from the Google, for example, the Gemini 2.5, so that whenever you want to, for example, to keep improving the chatbot, so you don't need to write the machine learning algorithms yourself, and instead you can just actually utilize the models it provided. And I think there's no any hosting needed because these servers are hosted by the Google, so that we actually don't need to have any physical GPUs or any kind of to basically to host the chatbot. So everything on the back end has already been handled. And what we need to focus is to design that workflow and also to connect it to the right and also the most relevant, the library databases and also the catalog, to ensure that its response is accurate and precise. Yes. And to your question, Andrew, I think right now after looking at the feedback that users provided through the AI chatbot, I think the overall trend is that we right now have over 8,000, I think, total conversations. And out of the 8,000, we only have, I think, 15 15 positive feedback, and I think another 15 negative feedback. So I think right now the majority of the users didn't provide any kind of feedback. They were just simply interacting with the chatbot, and then they signed off, right? And in terms of trends, I think we have, just as I mentioned, we have a similar number of the both negative and positive feedback. So I think that's a good sign. I think because I think there were a lot of essentially users are pretty satisfied with this chatbot. And I saw another question: is the BotPress a good platform? I'm not really familiar with that BotPress that you mentioned. So if you have any further context about that, feel free to provide in the chat. And another question: did you give access to all library web content databases API to the agents and let it choose which one to use when providing answers? Great question. So I think right now the agent builder platform has been very intelligent. So as I showed you, right, it also relies on our own prompts, right? As I demonstrated in the slides that the step-by-step instructions, right? So this is the place where you can guide the agent to basically to select the different tools or database APIs, right? So the agent will first analyze the customer request, and then it will use the machine learning algorithm, right, to classify them, and then decide which tools to use to provide the answers to the chat questions. Yeah. So I think this is essentially the step-by-step process. Yeah. And to your question, Andrew, what kind of resources were needed to build the chatbot system? So I think this is actually very straightforward, because all you need is to get access to the basis that Google Cloud services and account, and then you can start there from scratch, essentially, to use their Vertex AI agent platform to experiment and then to play around with it, because it also has that simulator function as well, so that you don't actually need to publish your chatbot. You can actually test and experiment with the different kind of conversations that you expect users would ask, right? And then you can just play around with it and tweak your instructions, and also try to embed as many tools as you have, like from the different resources. And then I think it should be pretty, straightforward. Yeah. So I think it is. And another question, I think it is both LLM and agent AI chatbot, because it uses the large language models, right? The Gemini models, and also it can handle this specific tasks, right? Just like what the AI can do, right? It can, for example, handle the user's search request, right? To search through the library catalog, and it can also provide some research assistance, right? To help the users to build these search queries, for example, to help them build the keyword developments, right? To identify the most relevant keyword for the search. Yeah. And I think, and to your question about how did staff feel about development, I think they feel, very, I will say the word relieved, and also very satisfied with the chatbot development, because as soon as we announced that we are sunsetting that, the live chat services, and then the staff feel very much, like happy, and also relieved, right? Because they can focus more time for the access services people. They can focus more time on providing the in-person, services, right, for the users, to handle some borrowing requests. I think that definitely frees up much more time. And for the librarians, it also frees up much time for them to focus on more high impact works, right? To provide some specialized consultations, and also to focus on more on the research time. Yeah. And to your question, Henny, since you are using the website for the data, so once the website is updated, the AI chatbot data will be on with it. Yes. Great question. So yeah, so because as I mentioned, for that data store tool, right? So it basically has that functionality to automatically refresh the indexing of the library web pages or any kind of dynamic web pages every day. So you're right. So the chatbot data will be automatically updated as soon as that library web page is updated as well. So that it can provide the most updated responses for the users. Great. Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions. Great engagement.
Yes.
So yeah, so
So actually, we as library field workers, we know how to difficult to handle users inquiries, students and the academics. There are plenty of inquiries per day. So in our case, we have to answer them in day by day. Sometimes we are replying same answers in day by day. Likewise, we are facing a lot of difficulties and time consuming for the library inquiries. But having this sort of technology, I think it's can be impressive, right? Yes. So is there any questions? So if there's no any questions, I think we can wind up the session for today. So thank you so much for Haoyong to sharing your expertise. And on behalf of IFLA AI Special Interest Group, I cordially give my thanks to the Andrew and Haoyong and all for the other participants who are participating this grateful event. And thank you so much for your attendance and sharing thoughts with us. And please keep in touch with us in our future webinars as well. So thank you all. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Andrew, is there anything to add?
No, just to say thanks to Haoyong. A lot of really good insights there. Very interesting talk. And I believe everyone who's registered should get a recording of the session. So really, thank you. And thanks to you, Gitani, for hosting the session.
You, Andrew. Okay, then shall we wind up? And thank you a lot. And good night on my side. Yes.